Hey children, a fantastic day to you. Today we are going to learn an interesting chapter. Lesson number 2, how plants survive. What is the name of this lesson? How plants survive. Now let's see what does the warm-up session have for us. Circle the ones that grow in water. Okay, does a coconut tree grow in water? Nah. Does a lotus grow in water? Yes, so circle it. Does a banyan tree grow in water? No. Cactus? Definitely not. Water lily? Yes. And water lilies are lovely plants. Now let's look ahead and see what is there in store for us. Know about plants growing in different areas. Understand adaptation in plants. Understand about some specialized plants. Appreciate the importance of plants to humans. Earth has a variety of plants. They are found all over the place, from the garden to the rainforests, from the lakes or ponds to the deserts. Unlike animals, plants cannot move from one place to another. Did you see any plant walking about and moving? No. So that is because they don't have the ability to move from one place to another. Therefore, plants develop special features in order to survive in different places. The special features that allow an organism to survive in a particular area are called adaptation. The special features that allow an organism to survive in a particular area are called adaptation. So did you understand the meaning of the term adaptation? Very good. Now let's proceed further. Let's see about the adaptation in plants. All living things adapt to their environment in order to survive. The natural home of a plant or an animal is called habitat. Plants can be divided into two major groups based on the type of habitat. The first one is terrestrial and next is aquatic. What are the two major groups based on the types of habitat? Got it? They are divided like this: terrestrial and aquatic. Did you get it, children? Okay, very good. Let's proceed further. Now let's see about learn about the terrestrial plants. Plants that grow on land are called terrestrial plants. Where do we find terrestrial plants, children? Where do they grow? Terrestrial plants grow on land. Remember this in your mind. They can be found in various geographical regions. Now let us see them. Terrestrial plants can be found in plains, in mountains, in deserts, in swamps and coastal areas. Plants in the plains. The trees and plants of the plains mostly have many branches and numerous leaves. The leaves are renewed periodically. When are the leaves renewed, children? Periodically. Most of the trees shed their leaves at the same time, that is, once a year. These trees are called deciduous trees. Example: teak, peepal, neem, banyan, gulmohar. This is how the teak tree looks, and this is how a banyan tree looks. Now let us see about this fact is here. The great banyan tree is almost 253 years old and is spread across 3.5 acres of land in Acharya Jagdish Chandra Bose Botanical Garden, which is near Kolkata. This is the largest banyan tree in India. Wow, that is a great fact that we have learned today, isn't it, children? I want you to remember this and surf your net and have a look at this, a live picture of this. Now we finished the plants in the plains. We'll further on move to the plants in the mountains. In the mountains and hilly areas like Ooty, Kashmir, Darjeeling and the Himalayan ranges, it is very cold during winters. There is snowfall in some areas. The trees that grow there have to survive the cold climate and snowfall. Now this is how the pine tree looks and this is how the fir tree looks. Now before we proceed further, there's a question which you have to find out on your own. Why do trees in the mountains have a sloping shape? Now it's for you to find out and tell me when we meet again. Instead of flowers, the trees have cones and hence they are also called conifers. The cones have seeds in them. Conifers have needle-like leaves which have a waxy coating. This helps the snow slide off easily. The main plants of these areas are pine, spruce, cedar, that is also known as deodar, and fir trees. These trees have straight and tall trunks and needle-like leaves. They are called coniferous trees. What are they called, children? Coniferous trees. These trees do not shed their leaves at the same time. A few leaves fall and new ones grow, so they are always green. Hence, they are called evergreen trees. Lovely term, isn't it? Now, we finish with the trees, terrestrial plants in the plains, in the mountains. Now we are going to move further to the plants in the deserts. The ground in the deserts is dry. There is very little water as it rains very rarely. Yet the plants live and survive. Their roots are adapted to absorb whatever amount of water is available. Plants like cactus of many kinds have roots that grow deeper and are spread far out under the surface of the soil. They can quickly absorb even the smallest amount of water. Desert plants normally have small leaves. The leaves of the cactus are sharp spines, This prevents loss of water from the leaves. The cactus plant stores food and water in its thick and fleshy stems covered with thorns. When there is no rain, the cactus uses the water in its stem. Cactus grows flowers too. Date palm trees have strong and thick leaves which help them to survive hot and dry deserts. You love dates? I love dates, to eat dates. Okay, so date palm trees grow where? They grow in the hot and dry deserts. Okay, now this is how a cactus plant looks and this is how a date palm looks. Now let's see what they have over here for us in the fact base. The mesquite bush has roots that go down 20 meters in search of water. My gosh, what a great information that is, children. But go and surf the net and have a look at the mesquite bush. Alright, and imagine it goes 20 meters down below the surface, below the surface of the soil to search what? To search water. Okay, I want you to do a research on this mesquite bush. Got it? Plants in swamps and marshes Next we have plants in swamps and marshes. There are some plants that have clayey soil and plenty of water. But since water cannot drain away, it collects on the ground. In such marshy places and swamps, roots of the plants grow above the ground in order to take air. This is because they are not able to do the same under the soil. Such roots are called aerial or breathing roots. What are these roots called? They are called aerial or breathing roots. Now, mangroves have breathing roots. This is a great information. Mangroves have breathing roots. Did you get it? Very good. Now, let's move further. We are going to come to the plants of the coastal areas. Plants in the regions like eastern and western sea coasts of South India receive high rainfall. Coconut, rubber and pepper are some plants that grow in these regions. The trees of such areas are evergreen and they usually have a large number of leaves. These trees do not shed their leaves in winter. See, now this is a rubber tree. Okay, this is a rubber tree. This is a coconut tree. I am sure that you love coconut tree. I love it because I love to eat coconuts and I love drinking tender coconut water. Got it? And coconut tree is also known as the Kalpavraksha. Okay, for us, we Indians call it as the Kalpavraksha because each and every part of the coconut tree is used, children. There is nothing that goes waste. Okay, and these are mangrove trees. Some common varieties of plants that belong to the grass family are rice, wheat, jawar, bajra, sugarcane, bamboo, etc. The plants of this family provide food for animals. Now let's see what does a fact base have. Let's see something interesting. Plant matter found beneath the areas with water-like swamps gradually turns into coal. My God, what a piece of information. I too didn't know about this. Okay, children. So I wanted to, surf the net about this too and find out as to how it turns into coal. This is an interesting point. Now let's go to the checkpoint. Match the following. Cedar. Cedar, we find cedar on mountains. Then people. People is found on plains. Rubber tree. Rubber tree is found in coastal areas. Cactus. Cactus is found in desert. Mangroves. Mangroves are found in marshy land. I hope you all had a great session on the terrestrial plants. Now we further move to the aquatic plants. Aquatic plants are of three types. Which are the three types of aquatic plants? They are the floating plants, fixed plants and underwater plants. Got it? Now let's see about the floating plants. These plants are spongy and filled with air. This makes the plants very light and helps them float on water. Example, water hyacinth, water lettuce, that is known as even as Picea, duckweed, which is also known as Wolffia. Now this is how the water hyacinth looks and this is how the duckweed looks. But I want you to surf the net and have a closer look at these pictures too. Now further we move to the fixed plants. These plants have roots that are fixed, that fix the plant in the mud at the bottom of the pond. Their stems are hollow and have air spaces. This helps the flowers and the leaves to float on water. The broad, flat leaves spread over the surface of the water to trap maximum sunlight. Once again, let us have a look at this line. The broad and flat leaves spread over the surface of the water to trap maximum sunlight. That's quite interesting, isn't it? The leaves have stomata only on its upper side. Where do the leaves have stomata in the fixed plants? Only on the upper side. The leaves have a waxy coating to repel water. Examples are lotus, water lily. Now this is a lotus and this is a water lily. But I want you to surf the net and have a closer look at them and learn more about them. Now we finished with the floating plants, we finished with the fixed plants. Now let's move further on to the underwater plants. They are completely submerged in water. The leaves and stems are thin and flexible. This allows them to move with water currents. They have narrow and thin leaves with no stomata. They take in gases dissolved in water through their body surface. Now what are examples for this? Hydrilla, tape grass, which is also known as Vallisneria. This is how hydrilla looks and this is how the tape grass looks. But here again, I want you to surf the net and have a closer look at them too, these plants too. In fact, each and every plant that you've read so far, and do a research on them. Other specialized plants, they are the insectivorous plants. Some plants like picture plant, sundew and Venus flytrap are both producers and carnivorous. Their leaves are modified to trap insects. Therefore, they are known as insectivorous plants. What are the examples, children? Picture plant, sundew, Venus flytrap. This is how a picture plant looks. This is how a sundew plant looks. And this is how the Venus flytrap looks. Now here again, I want you to surf the net and have a closer look at them, study more details about them. In a picture plant, the leaf is shaped like a picture with a small lid. If you can have a look over here, this is like a picture with a small lid. The picture is brightly colored to attract insects. When an insect enters the picture, this lid closes. This traps the insect inside. Digestive juices inside the picture help digest the insect. The leaves of a sundew plant are covered with sticky tentacles. Now what are tentacles, children? They are hair-like structures on the leaf of an insectivorous plant that are used to catch prey. The leaves of a sundew plant are covered with sticky tentacles. We learned already the meaning of tentacles, in which the insect gets trapped. The insect is further digested by the plant. Non-green plants. Some plants do not make their own food. Plants like coral root and mushroom do not have chlorophyll, so they cannot make their own food by photosynthesis. They absorb food from dead remains of plants, animals and fungus that live at the base of its stem. Such plants are called saprophytes. Now we finished with the saprophytes. Now we will learn about the epiphytes. Some plants like mosses, ferns and many orchids grow on other plants. This allows them to reach positions where they can have better access to sunlight. These plants are known as epiphytes. As their roots are not in the soil, they absorb moisture and nutrients from the air, rain and water, or from the debris collecting around them. Look at this. This is the coral root and these are the mosses. These are the mosses. Okay. Now we move further to the importance of plants to humans. Plants are useful for humans in many ways. Food. Plants are the main source of food for humans. The food is in the form of vegetables, fruits, grains, cereals, leaves, seeds, mushrooms, etc. They provide complete food comprising of all the essential nutrients, namely, which are the essential nutrients? Carbohydrates, fats, proteins, vitamins and minerals. However, for a few vitamins, we may still need to rely on animal foods. After food, we have clothing. Plants are the largest providers of textile fabric. These materials are eco-friendly, compatible and less expensive. The plant materials like cotton and jute contribute to manufacturing of yarn and other clothing fiber. Now let's see what is a yarn. Yarn, a long strand of natural and human-made fiber used to make clothes. Okay? Further, we move to the furniture and shelter. Plants are an important source of furniture. Plants are also home to many animals. Next, we move to flowers. Flowers are used widely by humans. They are used for enhancing beauty, to convey feelings and also for their fragrance as in scents or perfumes. Flowers are also used as vegetable and in preparing medicine. Now let us understand the meaning of enhancing. Enhancing means increasing or improving. Now we saw how plants are useful in food, in clothing, furniture and shelter, flowers. Now let's see about medicines. Plants are a great source of medicines. For example, juice of tulsi leaves is used for cough and cold. Turmeric is used in cooking and also as an anti-inflammatory agent. Amla juice is good for the stomach. Aloe vera juice is good for the skin. Now let's understand the meaning of inflammatory. That means relating to excessive swelling. Okay? Inflammatory means what, children? Relating to excessive swelling. Now, sources of vitamins. Plants are the largest source of essential vitamins to the body. Rubber, we obtain rubber required for tire, wiring, seats, etc. also from plants. Biofuels. Some plants are also grown for the sake of biofuels. What is the meaning of biofuels? Fuels that are made from living things or their waste. The plant fuel is less toxic as it does not emit harmful gases and it's also less expensive. The plant waste is also used to generate electricity. Now we have come to the end of the lesson. Let's have a look at the summary. Plants can be classified according to their habitats as terrestrial and aquatic. Plants that are not green in color are called non-green plants. They cannot prepare their own food. Saprophytic plants obtain their food from dead animals and plants. Insectivorous plants eat insects to obtain what? Nutrition. All animals on the earth depend on plants directly or indirectly. That's it for today. I hope you had a lovely time learning about how plants survive. See you soon for the next lesson.